Hi there. Today we are going to be doing a post-impressionistic still life charcoal drawing in the style of Paul Cézanne, and we are using just vine or willow charcoal, just a little stick. And the first thing I'm going to ask you guys to do is just pick the fruit that is in the foreground, whatever the closest one is to you, and you're going to just sort of draw the shape of that first. And when I draw still life, my eye just goes back and forth from the still life up there that I'm looking at, and then my drawing down here, as much as possible to try to keep my eye up there. So the first thing I'm going to draw is that apple that's right at the bottom, and I see the shape of it is pretty rounded, right? And I can't see the very bottom of it because of the edge of the plate. So I'm going to start, just draw what I see here. My paper's a little bumpy, so. And then I'm going to stop right there and draw where the plate is. And from the angle that I can see, I can just see the top edge of the plate. Coming up like this. Goes around like this. On both sides. And the nice thing about the reason we chose to do this one first for our class, this is for a homeschooling co-op, is that we can just be kind of sketchy and rough because it's our first project. So I'm kind of drawing the edge of the lip of the plate, and I'm going to go down, and then there's another one. I'm just doing little light sketchy marks to kind of just get the shape of the plate like that. And then I'm going to, so this one in the front, you see almost all of it. If this plate wasn't here, you'd see the whole thing in the front. And then the one, you just pick whichever one is behind it that you want to do next. I think we'll do the orange that's on the left there. And it starts a little bit farther down in my drawing. Your still life is going to be different. You're going to draw whatever you see in front of you from the angle that you're sitting at. So I can see a little nub at the top where the stem was, coming up a little. And oranges are a little bit bumpier, so my line's going to be a little rougher for this, and then it comes down like that. And then I can see just a little bit here where there's dark space, and I'll fill in the shading when I'm all done, and I'll show you guys how to do that. But first I'm gonna ask you to just quickly go ahead and outline all the pieces of fruit on your still life, and I'll probably speed up the video in this part to just get them all in, and then I'll slow it down and show you how to do some shading. So. Okay, so now we have just sort of the general shapes of everything. And then the top of this apple here, you can see a little tiny stem right here sticking up. Now, this is just a black and white sketch, so we're going to be looking at the value which is talking about the lights and darks. You just filled in the form, which is like the 3D shape of all the things, which are mostly rounded, as you're noticing, of the fruit that we have here in front of us. So the value, now we're going to look at where are the darkest spots of the drawing. That's usually where I start. So I'd say this apple right here in the front has some pretty dark, just here on the edge. Remember, we're talking about the light source example we did in class, where in this example, there's a lamp right over here that's creating a light source. So I'm going to shade by pushing a little bit harder on my charcoal, and then you can actually just smear it with your finger a little to lighten it up as you move towards the light source. There's a little bit of dark happening here. So I'm pushing down here, and then I'll just smudge it down like this. Yep, and then up here, the top of the apple, like that. And if you want to darken it up even more after you've smudged it, you can add some more like that. This one doesn't have a stem in it, so I'm going to leave it open like that. And then I'll do just a little, this is closer to the light, there's a little bit, got some dark on there, but not too much. So I'm just putting a little on this orange. And this top part here has a little where the stem is. Okay, so now I'll speed it up again and just shade really quick for you on mine. So try to do that on yours. I wanted to say, remember when we were talking about Cézanne, he had sort of those constructive strokes. So we don't want it to make it look too realistic. We want to have sort of thicker impressionism style happening here with the strokes that we're using. So let's keep that in mind as we're doing this. We don't want it to look too realistic. So I'm going to make some bolder lines, and the outlines will be thicker, because they were talking about having thicker outlines on some of the pieces. Okay, so keep that in mind as you're going. So just go along and keep going. And then this one back here is pretty in shadow, so I'm going to make that one almost completely filled in back here, this orange. And if you make it too dark and you want to take some of this up, you can use your kneaded eraser and just sort of dab it on there or smear it to pull some of the color up. Okay, then the last step we're going to do is some cast shadow. So if you have any fruit where this fruit is casting a shadow onto another one, I have one right here where the apple is casting a shadow across the pear. So I'm going to try and show that a little bit broader here, and it kind of goes down onto this one, but it gets kind of faded out, so you might not see it so much there, but there's definitely one on the pear here, and then a little bit down here. So it just depends on the angle and where the light is falling on your still life. And there's a little bit up here. I'm gonna get that one already. So that's it for today. If you have a background and you wanna put in, like I have a curtain back there, you can try and add some of that in. But most of you are just gonna have this just on your table and probably other students in the background, so you don't have to draw that in. But if you want to just get creative and draw your own sort of curtain or something in there, you can do that. And oh, there's a shadow right here under the plate. Almost missed that.